Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and today we're going to look at some recent mint on card sales for vintage Star Wars action figures. And it's a good mix. It's some budget-friendly items and some graded stuff. Everything from 12 backs to Power of the Force. So a pretty nice assortment here. I hope that everyone is doing well. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Be sure to leave me a like if you enjoy my content. Let's take a look. We've got some early 12 backs that sold at auction. I don't know what was going on here, but for some of these, I thought that the prices were very fair. I thought some of them went way too low. This one I thought was a pretty fair price. This one was a 12 back A Death Squad Commander, AFA 75. It says 75 plus. It was a 75 plus. 12 back A. Card 80, blister 75, figure 75. Not sure why this got a 75 for the blister and figure. It looks like maybe the figure's got some paint overspray or something going on there. You can see there it's got some spots on the chest. So it looks like, you know, the figure was kind of sloppy in terms of how it was painted. But punched example, a lot of wave to the card. But it's a 12 back A. Death Squad Commander, and that one sold for $710, which feels like a pretty good deal there for what it is. And, you know, there was some others like this one that was a AFA 80, but very clearly the figure, the Stormtrooper, had started to yellow inside the blister. Unpunched, no price sticker. It's a shame that that figure had started to yellow. And this one sold for $711.08, and that one was a 12 back A as well. So that one obviously was discounted because of the torso discoloration on it. And the figure score of 75 basically accounted for it already. So maybe this one was graded after, was graded after the figure started to yellow. And, you know, even that, at that price, you know, is that really an AFA 80? You could make an argument that that's probably overgraded now, given how much that figure has yellowed. But very nice display piece, $711. You can't really beat that price. This is one where I thought it went way too low. This one was a true 80, 12 back A, C3PO, unpunched, card 80, blister 85, figure 85. I mean, that one was a really nice example. And for a 12A to get that for under $1,000, that one feels like a really good deal. I mean, really all three of those probably sold for less than fair market value, but the C3PO in particular, I thought was a really good deal for what it was. Here was an AFA 75, 12 back B Chewbacca punched example with a price sticker. That one sold for $17.50. So, you know, looking at this one, relative to the other three that we just talked about, this one feels a lot more expensive. You know, it's just crazy how some stuff falls underneath the radar for these early card backs and auctions in general right now. I don't know if the market is in a period of let's wait and see what happens with the economy or what, but that's what it feels to me. It feels like there's less inventory and prices have really, you know, kind of frozen right now. And some stuff does go for big prices like this AFA 75 12B Chewbacca, and then other stuff at auction. It's a little risky right now. It's a dicey market, and people, are just hesitant to pull the trigger on big purchases. Here was a 12 back C3PO. Now, again, here's a comparison, right? That 12 back AFA 80 C3PO sold for $912.21, and then you have this 12 back C C3PO that was a CAS 75 that sold for $900. So just a crazy comparison on how it just depends on. And these pictures were not great, by the way. It was a very poorly photographed auction, and this seller does have a little bit more cachet, right? They've got 26,000 transactions. I've actually bought from this seller in the past. So, that could play a factor for some of these other auctions where, I mean, this seller had 4,000 transactions, so it's not like they're chump change. I mean, that's way more than even what I've got on my eBay profile. So, I don't know why these three sold so cheap, unless maybe they just ended at a weird time. I don't know when these ended specifically. So it looks like it ended on April 9th, which, let's see when April 9th was. April 9th. Yeah, see, April 9th was a Wednesday. And I think that if you got big boy items like this, you need to make sure the auctions end on a weekend, ideally a Sunday evening. That tends to be when people are online. They're wrapping up for the weekend. They're not doing soccer or whatever, for kids, volleyball, whatever, like I am. And on Sunday evening, people are at home. And I just feel like Sunday evenings are the good time to end auctions, especially on big items like this. I mean, you got some graded 12-backs. Try to maximize the number of people that are going to be online at the time. And Wednesday evening is probably not the best time to be listing. This one was sold. This one sold in a buy it now situation. This was a Tuscan Raider 12-back, clear blister, no staining to the cape, which is something to keep an eye out for. It was a punched example with a price sticker there, but overall in pretty decent shape. Again, ungraded, but some light spider veins on the back. Probably overall about a 75 plus. But for $600, that's a pretty good deal. That's a price I'd pay in a heartbeat. Here was an AFA 80 12-inch C3PO, or not C3PO, Stormtrooper. And, this one was a really nice high grade. Now, I would argue in an auction that it does not hit this number at $3,300. The box was a 75, window 85, figure 85. Maybe it does. I don't know. But it feels like the 12-inch figures have really flatlined lately. We just talked about in a different video a factory sealed Leia that was in similar condition, maybe a 75 grade, but it was ungraded. It was factory sealed. It was a trusted seller at auction, and it sold for $400. I mean, it's just crazy, some of the deals right now on eBay. So keep an eye out for auctions and be patient, but I don't know if it hits $3,300 in an auction. I just don't. In the current market environment where people are just hesitant to pull the trigger. Here was another good deal. This was a 31-back A Greedo. Unpunched, no price sticker, AFA 80, 80, 75, 85 were the subscores on this one. I mean, this one was a very nice Greedo for $401 in an auction. I mean, that is very cheap. That is just ridiculously cheap. And somebody got a good deal on that. I mean, that to me is easily more like a $500 or $600 item for what that was. Clear blister, unpunched, no price sticker for $401. Bargain deal there. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I don't know if this one hits $4,000 even on Hakes. Maybe I'm wrong. It was very nice. Don't get me wrong. This one was a 48-back C Boba Fett punched example. The subscores, as shown here, 80, 80, 85, I guess that one looks like an 85. I don't see any discoloration to the figure, which is a common problem that we talk about all the time on ESB Boba Fett's, but you could maybe make an argument that the legs are starting to brighten a little bit, but I don't know. I guess $4,000. I didn't look this up to compare it against the recent Hake sales. My gut says that this is probably okay. I mean, it's the 48C is something to really covet for Boba Fett. There's something about that free revenge sticker, beautiful card back. I mean, that's a very, very nice example for $4,000. And Boba Fett's have come down in price, but it does feel like, for certain card backs, Boba Fett continues to command big money. And obviously we got the Jeff Jacobs auction that will have a number of beautiful Boba Fett's in there. And, part one of that Hakes Jeff Jacobs auction really got some massive prices. And I think we'll see that again. People pay up for rarity, pay up for high grades. And that will be interesting to see. Another 48 back. This one was the TIE Fighter palette, obviously not in grade-worthy condition. This was the 48 back C with the free Admiral Akbar printed offer. And, that Toys R Us price sticker had some damage to it. Maybe it comes off, but maybe that's some litho damage as well. It's hard to tell there if that's litho damage or if that's just the back of the sticker there. Maybe you can clean that up a little bit with some butane lighter fluid, but clear blister. The rest of the card was in pretty good shape, and that one sold for $261. Just for data points, I had one of these CAS 80 grade that I sold on Rogue 5 Toys, and I want to say it was 800. 800 is what I got for that one. So this one, obviously was not nearly the condition that mine was in, but not a terrible deal there at $261. Very budget friendly there. Another budget friendly example, this was the Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight with lots of heavy edge wear to the 65 back C. Punched example, $250. Pretty fair there. I mean, you could even make an argument that Luke Jedis in similar condition are coming down in price, but $250 is kind of at the bargain basement bottom of the price point there. For higher grade examples, you're talking $350 to $450 ungraded all day long. So again, a very budget friendly example. Here was that 65 back made in China Luke Skywalker Farm Boy. The pictures were not great and very dark, so it's hard to know whether there is some light spider veining going on. But just looking at the photos, it obviously has a yellowed blister, but I don't see any cracks to the blister. And I think that, assuming it's in the condition that it appears to be in, which is about an 80 plus grade, $600 was a pretty good winning bid. Only one bid on that one, but that to me feels like a good deal. It had one little weird stain there to the right of the blister, like a dirt mark or smudge of some sort. But I still think this one's an 80 grade minimum. And unpunched, no price sticker, $600 feels like a pretty good deal there for a 65 back Luke Farm Boy. Here was a beauty, and another one I had in my what to buy video. I did reach out, or I did hear back from somebody who was the winning bidder on this one, and he was mad that I showed it in my what to buy video. Sorry about that, but this is one that was a beauty. 41 back B, Darth Vader, and it was AFA 80 plus, 80, 85, 85 were the sub scores. Unpunched, no price sticker, clear blister, absolute stunner. That one sold for $15.25. Probably about right, if you ask me. I mean, that one was a beauty. I didn't look up the census count on that one, but beautiful blister on that one. Trusted seller as well. I bought from that seller myself. So really beautiful ESB Darth Vader unpunched. Woo, man, that one is a beauty. I just, something about that Empire Strikes Back Darth Vader that really speaks to me. I love that one. Great pickup there. Back to some budget-friendly items. These were over in the UK. This one was a 41 back Dengar. Obviously, heavy spider veining around the hang tab. 2 price stickers. Clear blister, though, and which is tough to get. It's tough to get any Dengar ESB where the blister is still in some semblance of normalcy. Usually they're all beat up. And I've heard from a number of you that it's because Dengar was a peg warmer back in the day. And it's got such a big blister that really sticks out that they just got beat up at retail. But this 41 back sold for a great price, 187 pounds, which is 244 US dollars and change, probably about right. Higher grade examples will set you back quite a bit of money, especially clear blister. This one was sold by Jaybird, who always has really nice mocks. This was a 47 back Jawa yellowed blister. Pretty decent shape. I mean, not perfect, obviously. This was certainly a budget-friendly item at $400, but, decent condition, probably about 75 grade yellowed, and $400 took that home. I always get this seller and Jaybird mixed up, but this is Jada 34, and they had some mocks at auction in different grades. This one is the 20 back B. Let's see here. 20 back E, R5D4 graded CAS 70. Clear blister, that one sold for $405. I guess that's about right. I don't know. It's an early R5D4 in mid-grade, but punched example, price sticker, Children's Palace in the upper right-hand corner. $405 for that one. Also had a 75 plus grade 77 back A Stormtrooper unpunched yellowed blister with a price sticker. That one sold for $304, probably about right. In higher grade where the blister is not so yellowed, you can pretty safely double that price. I mean, if you get any Return of the Jedi Stormtrooper where the blister is not heavily yellowed, like a 65 back, or even some of the later ones, later card backs, but usually the later card backs like 77s and 79s, they have gone yellow, but sometimes you can find a clear or clear-ish blister for the Stormtrooper on a 65 back, but 304 feels about right there. I thought this was a pretty good deal for the debut card for Luke Skywalker in his Hoth battle gear. This is the 45 back, graded CAS 85. Again, it was yellowed, but 376 is a bargain. That's a pretty good deal there. I just sold mine. It was probably one of my favorite mocks, but I did sell it. This is the 45 back. Mine was an AFA 80 plus clear blister unpunched, and that one did sell at $1,500 on Rogue 5 Toys. So congrats again to Eric B on that one. But this one, it was yellowed with the price sticker punched, and, a CAS 85. Is it really an 85? I don't know. Feels maybe a little overgraded to me. It feels more like an 80 plus to me, just given the edge wear to the card. But here's the back of the card too. It's pretty good shape. Don't get me wrong, but you can't beat that price at $376. Next up, this was an interesting one. I was trying to figure out where to price mine. I do have a Made in Mexico 65B Biker Scout. Mine's a true clear blister. This one was labeled yellowed, but it's very faintly yellowed. I don't see the yellowing personally. I guess it's very faint, but usually the Made in Mexicos do not yellow. So that was kind of surprising that it got the yellow designation there. It doesn't look yellow to me, but I guess it's very faintly yellowed. But anyway, it's an AFA 80 plus Made in Mexico Biker Scout 65 back B. It was listed for $990, and it sold in a make an offer situation for $900. So mine's not going to be $900, I don't think. Mine is a CAS 80 or 80 plus. So that will get listed very soon on Rogue 5 Toys. I'm going to do a mock sale after Easter. But that one did sell at $900 punched example. What else do we got? We got a General Lando, Power of the Force, semi-unpunched, and that one sold in an auction for 198 pounds, which is 259 US dollars. Now, I did have some litho tears from where they tried to remove the price sticker unsuccessfully. It's a shame they did that because in general, the card looked to be in pretty good shape, but that one sold for super cheap. I mean, that's what a loose complete Lando goes for, General Lando. So $259 is a bargain there. This beautiful Amanaman, it did have the Toys R Us price sticker, but it was overall in very, very good shape. Probably an 80 or an 80 plus minimum. That one sold for $575 in a buy it now situation. We had a Jan Tosh Droids mint on card, AFA 80 plus, obviously very heavy yellowing to the blister, which kept the price down. Punched example, that one sold for $305. So there's the subgrades there. 80, 85, 90 were the sub scores, but obviously very heavy yellowing to the blister, which does tend to keep the price down on those droids. Speaking of droids, this one was a Canada version of the droids R2-D2. And, it had a lot of heavy creasing, and it basically sold for what a near mint droids R2-D2 sells for loose complete at $550. I mean, this one, the sticker on this one looked to be in really good shape. I'm shocked that it went that cheap, but the card had heavy creasing on it, so it basically sold for a loose complete price. Great deal at $550. So anyway, that's all I really had for this market update. We had a nice mix of high grade, expensive items and then some more budget friendly items. I hope this helps with your continued search out there to add to your collection. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.